I'm Steve Jones for the Voice of DBA, and this is a quick video on how you get started with Git. So I've got all this kinds of code that I use and text, and I know people are trying to figure out how to get going with Git. So I want to give you a quick overview of just getting started with it and how do I kind of get my code into Git. So let me flip over to my screen, and you'll see that I've got this folder with a bunch of SQL code in here. Now, over time, if I edited this code or changed it, I might make a mistake and I might want to go back a version, or I might want to keep track of what there is. And what a lot of people would do is, they'll kind of do this setup old here for the old code, and then they'll copy it to a new version that'll just be setup or setup one or whatever they do, which works, but it's a really poor way of tracking code. So what we want to do is get started with Git. So if I flip over here to that's not what I wanted to be at all, but if I search for Git on Google, I see this Git link. Usually git.scm.com is where you can download it, and you can see I can download for Windows. If I want to look at other versions, I can go over here and say there's OS X, there's Linux, whatever I need. Okay, I can download, run the install. I actually use Chocolatey, and so you'll see here I did a Choco update Git. If I hadn't installed this, you could do Choco install Git. It'll download things, it'll run it, and then you can see it's upgraded. And I can check with Git version, and you can see that I'm now on the latest version. So that's one way to kind of just get started. But now I've got Git installed. How do I get my code actually over to a Git repository or a folder where I'm tracking this code? Now, I can't go to that folder and convert it to Git easily. It's complex. The easiest way is actually start in a different place. Now, I've got various folders, but on Windows, if I go back a bit here, actually, I think on this command I have it, under your user profile, there's a source and a repos folder. And so for me, you can see I've got a bunch of folders here. What I want to do is make a new directory here, end-to-end always encrypted, because that's the code that I use for one of my presentations. Obviously, I could do this in Explorer as well. If I were to go to Explorer, what I would see is, let's copy this real quick while I have the chance, and then I'll go to my repos folder. I'll see that here, right? And there's nothing in there right now. Okay, so the first thing that I really want to do here is I'm going to cd to that folder, and then I'm going to do a git init. And what that does is it kind of creates a Git repository. And you can see it creates a hidden folder here. And now if I paste in my code, I'll add all these files, and they're all here. You'll notice that there's little icons here, right? There's things that are added to here with Git. I don't have the Explorer integration here because I don't like it, but most of the Git clients would track this like Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio or Git Kraken or SourceTree or anything else. But if I do a git status now, what we'll see is that I haven't committed anything yet, and don't worry about the branch thing, but I have all these files that are not tracked, meaning that Git doesn't really care about any changes. So to add them, I'll do git add all. Now I could do git add dot, there's various commands here, but this is the one I'm very comfortable with as well. And then if I now look at git status, what I see is that they're being tracked, but these are changes that have been made in my repository that I'm not actually stamping as this is the version I want. I could add one file at a time, however I want to do this, but really what I want Git to do is track the versions of these files over time so that I can just keep saving the same version and then get back to any version I wanted, right? Or keep saving the same file name. To actually start committing these and tracking these, I'll do a git commit. It'll ask me for a comment. By default, it opens Notepad on Windows, or I think VI on Linux or other things. But I just like doing it at the command line a lot of times where I'll put a comment in and double quote on Windows. And it's kind of convention to do an initial commit comment there because this is the first time that I've tracked this code. For future changes, I would usually put some comment in here that explained why I made the change. So you'll notice once I did this, I get this change, and if I look at git status, nothing to commit, everything is tracked. Nothing has really changed in Explorer, But as I make changes, I can commit them again with new versions, and I can always then easily see the differences or go backwards in versions if I realize I've made a mistake. Now, that's really all I want to do to get started here with Git right now. There's a lot more that you can do with this, and I'll have future posts that look at it. But for it now, if you want to get started, download Git, install it, and try something simple like what I just did. I'm Steve Jones for the Voice of the DBA podcast. Actually, it's not a podcast, just the Voice of the DBA.